Hello and welcome back. This is what I call bachelor pasta, or I guess more correctly, bachelor for the night pasta. My wife and daughter got out of town for a few days to visit grandma. I couldn't join them because of work, so I thought, why not use this time alone to bring back a little blast from my past, and maybe change up the format of the show a little. The reason I call this bachelor pasta is because it was something I made a lot when I was younger. It was a cheap and tasty plate of food, and I could whip it up quick before going out for a night on a town. The carbs gave me energy, and it was heavy enough to protect my stomach from whatever I was going to imbibe that night. The starter dish was almost invariably seafood, and almost always the dish was improvised from whatever I had in the fridge or pantry or could pick up at the store driving home from work. That's kind of what I'm going to do here. Aside from a few key ingredients, I'll be making this recipe up on the fly. Key ingredient number one, of course, is the seafood, specifically bay scallops. These are cousins of the much larger and much more expensive sea scallops that you see in the restaurants. They grow in shallow coastal waters, and you'll find bay scallops used a lot in things like chowder. Aside from the size difference, bay scallops are more tender, less briny, tending towards sweet than sea scallops, and I bought these frozen at the store. The other key ingredients are garlic, of course, and parsley. This is Italian parsley, which I don't keep in my refrigerator. I always buy it fresh as I need it. If I had plans to make this dish, parsley was something I knew I had to get in advance. And oh yeah, I can't forget about the pasta. I'll be using my favorite shape, linguine. I also love pappardelle, but that'd be too much noodle for this recipe. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop the linguine into a pot of boiling, aggressively salted water. The instructions on the label say that it'll take about 8 to 10 minutes to cook, so I'm going to count about 3 minutes from this point before I start the sauce. Okay, this is a pan I used to fry up some bacon about an hour earlier. Just regular store-bought bacon that I used to make a sandwich. I saved a few strips for the pasta. That's the bacon grease you see in there. I fished out the burned bits as best I could. I'm going to use that tasty oil to fry my garlic and a good pinch of chili flakes. Lucky my daughter's not here, or she'd be fake gagging so hard at all those chili flakes. Anyway, I want to give these about a minute to infuse their flavor into the oil, but I don't want them to brown. That's why I left the garlic a little bit chunkier. Now that the garlic's nice and fragrant, I'm going to add a small squirt of tomato paste. I don't want this to necessarily become a tomato sauce, but I love the background flavor that the tomato adds. I'm going to give this about a minute to cook so the paste can dry out a bit and deepen in flavor. Alright, this is looking pretty good, so it's time to throw in the star of the show. So in go the scallops. And I found a bottle of Pinot Grigio hanging around, so I'll pour in a good glug of some dry white wine. I'll season with a pinch of salt and some freshly cracked black pepper, then let this simmer and reduce until the pasta's ready. The pasta's cooked, and I've turned the heat off on that burner. As for the sauce, I'm just going to give it a quick taste to make sure it's where I want it. I'll finish by adding the parsley and leftover bacon, both of which I've given a rough chop. The only thing left to do is to drag the pasta out of the pot into the sauce. With few exceptions, I always drag my pasta from the pot into the saucepan. That way I bring some pasta water with it. The starch in the water helps emulsify the sauce and turns it creamy. I'll toss all that together and then give it a few minutes of cooking so the noodles can soak up some of the sauce. If I feel like it, I might even add a splash of extra virgin olive oil or a pat of butter for a little extra silkiness. And this is it, my Bachelor for the Night pasta, featuring bay scallops and a little crumbled bacon. It's a little salty, a little briny, a little smoky, a little tomatoey, and it came together in no time. It was a perfect dish to fuel 20-something-year-old me for a night on the town. Not 20-something-year-old me is going to enjoy it while relaxing on the sofa catching up on my shows. Ciao. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that it's inspired you to try making your own bachelor or bachelorette for the night pasta. If you do, please comment and let me know how it turns out. I'll see you next week.